Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining me for today's Happy Science New York Sunday service. The theme is How to Live with the Coronavirus. Today I would like to talk about this book that will be available end of November. It's called How to Survive the Coronavirus Recession, based on a lecture Master Okawa gave this year in May, and it also includes How to Strengthen Your Immunity, which is this DVD that is the faith vaccine for fighting against the coronavirus. All right, so let's get into this. In this book, Master Okawa says something very, very important. It's the attitude with which we all should be living through the next year, because the coronavirus is not going to go away very soon, and the solutions that the governments have been putting in are not real long-term solutions. So let's read from the afterword of this book. In this book, I'm not saying that you should disregard the prevention of coronavirus infection. Do what you feel you have to do. However, even if you stay at home for 1 or 2 months, the coronavirus pandemic will not disappear from this earth. It will spread to countries all over the world, with second and third waves to follow. You will need to survive by living with the coronavirus. Basically, each of you must strengthen your immunity, produce wisdom, and restart your economic activities. If not, large businesses, nations, and municipalities will fail, and only hatred and sorrow will remain. Possession by a group of tiny viruses is basically no different from possession by evil spirits. If so, you can drive them away by using the power of God or Buddha. With this book, you must fight against grim reapers. So here at Happy Science, we have been sharing information that the coronavirus is not something that will go away in about a month or 2. It began with this book, which is a spiritual reading of the novel coronavirus infection originated in China, which Master Okawa channeled back in February of this year. A lot of governments are kind of calling upon the expertise of virologists or epidemiologists to try to produce better ways for people to maybe survive the coronavirus, to adapt with it, or even eradicate it. However, Master Okawa, his way of exploring and understanding what's happening is very multi-angled. He reads many newspapers, many periodicals, many sources of information ranging from the virologists themselves to also looking at what's happening in terms of a nation's finances, business health, like how feasible is it for a government to tax its people so that they can ask people to stay at home, stop going to their offices? How long can a nation feasibly, even with raised taxes, supplement the livelihoods of people? And Master Okawa says it's not for very long, because a nation, a government cannot basically care for everybody when they all cease to work. He also says that while it is hopeful that vaccines are coming out, he looks at the influenza vaccine that is available every year. You might have taken it for yourself. And he noticed something that concerned him. That is that an influenza vaccine is made based on the previous year's strain. So he had a personal experience in which one of his kids, he has 5 kids, they're all in their 20s now, but back in the day, one of his kids got a flu shot, an influenza vaccine in December, and then came down with the influenza the following month in January, like full-blown fever and everything. And Master Okawa went to the doctor and said, "What's going on here? We just took the vaccine, the flu shot." And the doctor said that, well, because the vaccines are made based of last year's influenza virus, when there's a new strain that's out, sometimes the vaccine doesn't work for it. In fact, it's actually not built to work for it. We just hope that it will work for it. And so Master Okawa concludes that, well, if it's just a painful experience and doesn't really help me, I'm not going to take the influenza shot anymore. So that is how it is with vaccines. It can be helpful. Master Okawa says that it can still, if it at the very least helps people feel okay, that they're going to be immune to the coronavirus because they already got their vaccine, then great. That sort of mental attitude can also work to really actually keep you protected from the virus. But in addition to studying studying the information that scientists, researchers put out, he also has another source of information, and that is spiritual messages and space people. Specifically, Yaidron, Metatron, R.A. Gold, who are messiahs on a galactic level. And if you have been a part of Happy Science for long, you know that Master Okawa is constantly publishing spiritual messages from Jesus Christ, Shakyamuni Buddha, and so many other high spirits in heaven. And he has published many books from these spiritual, many books which are spiritual messages from these high spirits. And Master Okawa concludes, unfortunately, all the information I'm gathering is that this coronavirus is man-made, and unless an investigation is made to the source of who is making this, and he knows who that is, it's the Communist Chinese Party, but the media is not really addressing it. So unless this is addressed, then because the CCP it has an intention behind why it's allowing the coronavirus to spread, why it's preventing people from investigating its source and understanding the virus from how it was created so that they can get to a more effective vaccine more quickly. It's because they do want to become more stronger, and they can do so by weakening the economies of their competitor countries. And so this is a virus war. And as long as the CCP is allowed to kind of remain uncaught in what they're doing, then they can come out with new strains of the virus, of the coronavirus, thereby complicating the world's effort to come out with effective vaccines to really eradicate and tamper out this coronavirus pandemic for good. So those are the problems that we're facing. Okay, how do we survive this, and how do we eventually conquer this? Simply going back to the sentence that Master Okawa gave in the afterword, strengthen your immunity and produce wisdom and restart your economic activities. These are all things that an individual can do. And that's what Master Okawa is saying. Ultimately, his message is that you are more than you think you are, because you are not a physical existence. You are, in fact, a child of God. You are a soul. You have been given eternal life. And so there is a power inside of you that is much stronger than you think. There is a power inside of human beings that they are not using. They have the power within to fight against viruses and illnesses. Wake up to that. Utilize that. And this power is also a creative power that will allow you to fight against the trend, even if it is a trend towards recession, to not just survive, but come out strong, and thereby even be able to help others survive it, or even prosper your economy, to protect your country, strengthen your country. These are all powers that human beings are imbued with. And so these two methods that Master Okawa is asking us to adopt at these times is strengthen your immunity, produce wisdom, and restart your economic activities. I would like to show you a lecture excerpt from Victory of Faith, because in this, Master Okawa, he really explains who we truly are and what power we are connected to, enabling us to have the power I mentioned before. Victory of Faith is a $200 donation because it is such an important and powerful lecture. But I highly, highly recommend that you receive this so that you can watch it over and over and over again. Ingrain the power and light that this DVD, this lecture contains into your heart and soul.
神は偉大なるかな。はるかなる昔にこの大宇宙ができる以前より思いにて存在した。その思いとはすべてのものを包み込み、すべてのものを愛し、すべてのものを育み、そして我が作りたる者たちよ、あなた方は偉大なるものとなれ。我のごとくに偉大なるものとなれと命ぜられた。そうしてできたのがあなた方一人一人の魂である。わずか2メートルにも満たぬ小さな肉体に宿っているからといって己の存在を非常なるものだと思ってはならん。取るに足らぬ小さなものであると思ってはならん。あなた方の魂の奥底に我が刻み込んだるは不滅の英知であり、不滅の力である。その英知とその力を見出すのだ。その時にあなた方一人一人の中に久遠のブッダと同じく 神仏と全く同じ光が宿されていることを知るであろう。
Thank you, Master Okawa, Lord Alcantara. If you don't remember anything from this seminar but those words, that's okay, because those words are exactly what I wanted to convey to you. Each of us is a part of God's light. We are loved and we are nurtured. And the command given to us is, all my creations, be great as I am. This is how each and every one of our souls was created. You could almost say that this pandemic is occurring in order to get humanity, who has perhaps maybe disregarded this fact, decided that it's irrelevant, decided that it doesn't mean anything, to truly turn their eyes back to this truth that has been the main message of all religions for millennia, and for each of us to truly experience it as truth for ourselves. And that is ultimately the aim of happy science. It is with that in mind that we are not our physical body, but a spiritual existence, that I would like you to listen to Master Okawa's teachings, because all of Master Okawa's teachings are designed to help you to experience that truth for yourself. And whatever difficulty you're going through is exactly what you need in order for you to come to that realization for yourself as well. So going back to what we should do right now when the coronavirus numbers are going up, and when we turn on the news, it feels very fearful. Well, we see a lot of coronavirus cases going up and being reported around the world, but Master Okawa quotes a Japanese doctor who worked on a cruise ship when a coronavirus cluster occurred, and they had to shut that cruise ship down and keep its the guests on there for almost a month. Well, after this incident, the doctor published a book and basically said that a infection itself is not a disease. Just having the coronavirus virus just coming out positive doesn't mean that you have a disease. It's really important to keep in mind, because you actually get sick by feeling sick in your head. Even if you catch the coronavirus, please remember, most people repel it and don't develop symptoms. Please keep that in mind. Furthermore, Master Okawa says, let's look at the rate of infection and mortality rate in all the countries. It's actually never more than 10%, the mortality rate. It's actually oftentimes under 5%. And he says that it's actually no different from the influenza, the flu. Of course, because it is a virus war, there is a malicious aspect to that, but when you actually look at how it's affecting people, it's no different from the flu. The fear actually is being amplified more than it necessarily should be. And he points out that those who do contract the coronavirus and develop symptoms, they tend to be older, they tend to have pre-existing conditions, but the flu can also cause death in those when it triggers a lung inflammation or other illness. And he asks us, when there's a flu epidemic, thinking back on previous years, how did you live? How did you go about your economic activities? How did you go about your work? How did you go about living your life? You might have worn a mask, you might have taken extra precautions, washed your hands, but otherwise you went about life normally. And that is what we need. That is what we need today. We'll get into that more, but focusing on the aspect of strengthening your immunity so that even if you get the coronavirus, you don't develop symptoms, or even if you develop symptoms, to prevent it from causing you further illness, to prevent it from causing you death. Increase your immunity. That even the doctors are saying, even when you go into the hospital, they can't do so any much more than to maybe hook you up on an IV drip, which kind of gives you more nutrients. It boosts your energy, health nutrients in that way, and also maybe put you on a ventilator to help you breathe better. But otherwise, the treatment you would get in a hospital may not be so different from the treatment that you can give yourself at home throughout your normal day, which is to sleep well, eat well, and exercise. Strengthen your body, increase muscle mass. And that means go out, walk. And in fact, Master Okawa says, thinking about how when people retire from work, in less than a year, their stamina just drops so much. The government asking you to stay home will actually lead you to a lower stamina, making you more vulnerable to the coronavirus. So please, even though the government may say these things to try to get a very large population to listen to it, please think of yourself. Think independently. Think about what you need to do in order to keep yourself healthy and physically strong. But in addition to keeping yourself healthy and physically strong, also think about keeping yourself mentally strong as well. Master Okawa says, strengthening your immunity is strength of will, cheerfulness, being active, constructive, and putting on muscle. This is what will strengthen your immunity. So a lot of it is related to the mind as well. Strength of will, cheerfulness, being active and constructive. So he actually suggests try to avoid listening to things, reading things, seeing things like movies, TV shows, novels, that might make you depressed. In fact, make a deliberate effort in choosing things that will lift your spirits up. That's really important. And in this book, he also goes into some practical tips like the benefits of green tea and rooibos tea, or simple things to be mindful about when eating or when you really need to wear a mask. This book, Surviving the Coronavirus, is one of those books that will lift up your mood, that will make you feel cheerful and strong, positive and constructive again. So definitely read that book. Reach for that book as one of those things to keep you mentally healthy as well. And of course, having an income, steady income, having a job, these things also contribute to your mental well-being, mental health as well. like I mentioned earlier, Master Okawa was concerned that although virologists say that you have to stay home, isolate, social distance to try to flatten the curve and slow the spread of the coronavirus, he's concerned that these virologists, the last time there was a pandemic was 1918, the Spanish flu. Most of them have not really experienced a huge pandemic that transcends borders in their lifetime. And those pandemics didn't really last for very long either. They are not, when they're giving these suggestions to social distance, stay at home, they're saying it without really thinking about the consequences it will have on the economy, on people's businesses, on your restaurant, on your gym, on your schools, your children's education. So again, please take the initiative to think for yourself. What do you need to do in order to not just survive, but really protect your own future? And this is a prerogative that is given to us, again, because we are a part of God's light. We are a soul. We have the strength to do this, even if the tide of society is heading in the other direction. If you need to stay home, then he says, use that time to increase your store of weapons and materials that will help you next, help you in your future, help you survive the recession. Develop work skills, work knowledge, read good books. Focus on gathering information that will last. Watching the news every day when it's just repeating the same information, will it benefit you? Will it equip you? Will it prepare you for next year in maybe transferring jobs because your company went under, or when you need to build up your business, or when you need to think of new ways to try to do business in this business environment. Think about things that will last and that will become a positive part of you to spend your time on that. And although a lot of people might be kind of hoping that the government will bring out more stimulus checks, I think the Democratic Party has a tendency to do more of that. They too need a source from which to give that money. And governments, their sources are taxes. So those tax hikes, if you're not seeing the signs of them already, they will definitely come very soon. And but the bottom line is, again, the government, even with the stimulus check that came out in summer or spring, it was maybe $1,000, $1,500, $600 a week. For most people, you know that you need more. So again, think about how you can survive, regardless of whether the government gives you a stimulus check or not. And having said all that, I would like to focus on, direct your attention to this aspect, because when we hear so much news about people being infected and dying, perhaps alone in nursing homes, we tend to kind of become very, very attached to our life. But we forget and lose sight of some simple truths, and also that the time we have in this world, whether there is the coronavirus or not, is finite. So the focus should not be on hanging on to the life we have right now, but on thinking about how we can spend it in the most meaningful way possible. Master Okawa says, "You cannot choose when death will visit you. It may also seem unfair because sometimes good people die early and people who seem to only be causing harm to others live long. But death comes to everyone. Looking after your physical body is good, but there is only so much you need to do. So turn your thoughts away from fear and the desire for self-preservation, the thinking that is the tendency to think only about your health and you surviving and fearing of what's going to happen if you get the coronavirus. Step away from those thoughts for a second and think about how you can live your finite life meaningfully for the good of others. And this is also a time when, aside from the coronavirus, there has been fires, there has been hurricanes, and previously, before the coronavirus, other areas of the country that have not been hit by these disasters were able to step in and help each other out. Or if it was a whole country that was affected, other countries came forward to help each other out. But in the time of social distancing, when even hugging somebody seems like it's going to threaten the other person's life, well, Master Okawa is worried that a lot of people will fall into the thinking of being very fearful of other people, almost hating other people. In that case, it will be very hard for people to want to reach out and help each other. So he says, please don't lose that aspect. Don't lose that self that can have the space in your heart to be thinking about the good of others, be thinking about what you can do for others. I would like to read this excerpt from one of the sutras that you receive when you become a devotee, because it really highlights how we can also, from a religious and spiritual perspective, see the silver lining in this pandemic. And I think it will give us something more to explore other than trying to preserve another person's life when we think of what we can do to help others, to do good for others. In a spiritual message from Jesus Christ says that even when somebody passes away from the coronavirus, their soul continues to exist. And so the salvation of that person's soul is actually very, very important work. To help people learn who they are and how they are actually expected to live as a soul with eternal life, so that they can be happy, so that they can live in happiness in the other world. That is something that is very, very important work. And so our confrontation with illness and death, the pains of life, it should prompt us to explore those matters while we are still alive. The sutra reads, "The physical body is finite. Birth, aging, illness, and death are the four pains from which we cannot escape. But there is a sword to cut through your suffering. This is the power of enlightenment. If you become egoless, you will see that your physical body is not you, that your worldly desires are not you. If you become void, you will see that the Spirit is the source of all things, and that this world is only temporary. Your belief in Buddha is the royal road to salvation." This is very, very important because what can happen is the phenomena of lost spirits and spiritual possession, or possession by evil spirits that come from that. And this is very, very important information that only religion can give. And while people who read the newspapers every day might scoff at this idea, Master Okawa says, I have been experiencing this truth for myself for 30 years and exploring it, and it is absolute truth. And I feel it to be my responsibility to inform people about what really happens, what can happen, after you pass away. Sorry, what really happens after you pass away, and what can happen to those who don't understand this truth. That's what I meant. He says that imagine somebody who is very scared of getting the coronavirus, and is very scared of losing their life, and sees other people only as threats, carriers of the coronavirus that can put their life in danger. And they stay at home, but then they see people who are not wearing masks and maybe not listening to what the governments, state governments, municipal governments are telling them, and they may wrongly believe that it is those people who are not wearing masks that are keeping the pandemic going. And it might raise a lot of resentment in them. And let's say because the coronavirus has gone on for a while, and it will continue for a while. Let's say that a company goes bankrupt. The company they're working at goes bankrupt. They lose their job. No income comes in. They're going to be more resentful, and they're going to demand that the government or society or other people do something about this situation. But of course, there's only so much that even the government, even if they taxed everyone, even if they took all the money from the companies that are faring better than others right now, such as maybe the delivery companies, the internet e-commerce companies, the pharmaceutical companies, like even if they took all the money there and distributed, it still would not be enough for everybody, because this is another truth that Master Okawa reveals that is not talked about enough. Wealth has to be generated constantly, because so much of it is being consumed every day. But unaware of this, you might just be resentful that maybe you're not getting the stimulus check because there's greedy people in the world. And of course, your resentment is only going to flare up more. And you will find that with less money coming in, or even no coming in, you're going to be very fearful and scared. And you might fall into depression. And like, let's say that you pass away in that state. Master Okawa is saying that it's not like you disappear after you die. You actually continue to exist as a soul. And those people who died thinking that people are mean and cold-hearted and uncaring, and this world is a horrible place, and God too must be a horrible existence if he allows such tragedies to continue unchecked. Well, they continue to remain in darkness in the other world. In other words, they are not able to return to heaven. They will actually either become lost souls who wander the surface of this earth, or fall to hell. And because they reject God's light and love, which is their true source of energy now as a soul, their only source of energy now is gained only by possessing other living human beings. And when they possess them, even if they didn't start by intending to bring unhappiness or misfortune to other people, because they are so lost and confused, they can only make other people, they can only bring down other people emotionally and spiritually. And they end up only amplifying the fear of the person living, or amplifying the suspicions that maybe there are so many greedy people, and that's why I'm suffering. That's why I'm suffering. I'm struggling to get money from the government to be able to live while staying indoors, staying at home, so I can protect myself from the coronavirus. And they will amplify their resentment towards the wrongs in society. And furthermore, Master Okawa says that these evil spirits, these lost spirits, if they had died from the coronavirus, because they feel like they still have the coronavirus, they can actually, when they possess other people, they can attract the coronavirus to them. and cause the living person to contract the coronavirus and fall ill to that, or even lose their life to that. It's a terrible cycle, isn't it? Like, I felt like it was a bit unnecessary for me to speak so long on that and to go into so much detail. I don't want that to depress anybody, but I say it because there's a solution for it, and it is the major solution to the coronavirus. And so it's so important for us to understand in detail what spiritually happens so we can combat it effectively. If my explanation of what happens to people who lose their lives and end up being lost spirits did not make sense to you very much, please reach out to us to get further explanation. There are so many books that Master Okawa has put out on it. It took me a while to wrap my head around it, but it is, once you get it, it makes so much sense. And once it makes sense to you, you can truly, truly be able to protect yourself and your loved ones as well. And actually, the added benefit to that is that you get to help these lost souls, people who have died and are at a loss. You can help them to wake up and realize that, hey, you don't have to suffer anymore. First of all, you don't have a physical body. And second of all, there are angels that are trying to help you. Don't disregard them and turn towards them, listen to what they're saying, and return to your real home, because your real home is heaven. You can even gain the power of salvation, the power to save those souls who have passed away through the pandemic, through the coronavirus. So what a blessing, right? What an incredible silver lining. So another thing I would like to share from Master Okawa's book about the coronavirus is that he actually sees the virus. And he says that they're like tiny dwarfs of dwarfs of dwarfs. There's like tiny little people. He said once when one of his kids caught the measles, he saw a swarm of viruses crawling up and infecting them. And he saw them trying to come over to them. But viruses, especially when they cause illness in people and cause them to die, they are of a evil vibration, a malignant vibration. But that means that they are of a complete different vibration from the vibration of heaven, which nurtures, supports, and loves, and sustains. And so these viruses are repelled by light, by God's light. He says that when you pray and ask for light, the coronavirus, which is not even, it's in between an organism and a living thing and a non-living thing. It's really a speck of protein, Master Okawa says, with RNA and DNA. It really is not much of a thing. When you contract it, and when the coronavirus that is trying to duplicate itself and grow in you, is doing that, when you pray, a pillar of light will appear, and that light will come into you, and it shocks the coronavirus, and it finds it very uncomfortable to be with you, and so it will move on to somebody else to be with. It's kind of astonishing, but think of it this way, if you're so scientific minded. Have you ever really seen a hydrogen molecule? Have you ever really seen for yourself an oxygen molecule? Have you ever been able to really verify for yourself that hydrogen and oxygen combine to create water? You only see the phenomena of it, and you trust the explanation of the mechanism behind it. I just explained the mechanism because Master Okawa sees the mechanism, understands it, and so he shares it. But what really makes you to realize that it's truth is when you experience the phenomena of it, when you see the phenomena of it. So please go ahead and take what you just heard, keep that in mind, but then experience it for yourself, because you will discover that it is truth. When you get the coronavirus, count yourself lucky. This is your chance. I should not say that. I should not. But in Japanese, they say there's always fortune in the midst of misfortune. So the fortune would be, this is your chance to get to experience the truth of Master Okawa's teachings. So when you get it, here's what I would like you to do. Ask, with your hands together, Lord Alcantara, please give me light. And a pillar of light will appear, come down, and fill you with that light. Master Okawa said that when he was working in finance, in the office, and when he was surrounded with all kinds of people, possessed by all kinds of spirits, he would feel drained. When he felt that way, he would go into the bathroom of his office and put his hands together and do exactly that. At that time, though, he would just call upon a guiding spirit, a high spirit in heaven, because he's Alcantara. But he said that he could see that pillar of light coming down in the mirror. He could see it. And he says, when you receive light in this way, you will become brighter and cheerful, oftentimes immediately. An aura will appear, and you will become energetic, as if you have just been refueled. So he says, do this when there are evil spirits, when you've been hurt and you are suffering emotional pain, when you are disheartened, when you're feeling down, when you have the coronavirus, when you're ill from any other illness, any other autoimmune disease, anything at all. And do it, and you will receive light. And please continue to do it. Even if you may not be able to feel it at the beginning, you are receiving light. And gradually, as your heart becomes more pure, because the dirt and rust covering it gets washed away every time you receive light, you will be able to feel that light, that warmth. Yesterday, we took a seminar here called The Laws of Steel, Alpha Version, and I felt so much light here. And I was thinking, okay, how can I describe this warmth, this incredible feeling where I just want to put my hands together and just smile in happiness? And I thought, if you've ever tried to raise a chick from an egg to get it to hatch and then to raise a chick until it turns into a chicken. I've never gotten to do that. I was very envious of people who were able to raise chickens in their homes. But I did go to science museums and I saw it. And I noticed that there was always a very strong and warm light bulb to provide heat, to imitate a hen sitting on an egg and warming it, or keeping a chick warm. Heat is very energy giving. And I really, really felt that the light I felt in this prayer hall felt like that light bulb, warming and giving life-giving heat to the eggs and the chicks. It is so energizing. So if you are listening to this and you have been refraining to step out from your home because maybe you are older, I understand your situation. So please learn these teachings so that you can strengthen your immunity, strengthen your body, and strengthen your courage and the feeling that, I think I can step out. I think I can take the subway. I think I can get down to 79 Franklin Street. If there is only one place you go to during this coronavirus pandemic, make it this temple. It is the safest place Any coronavirus you bring in will be repelled at the door, and you will get to just bask in this life-giving light coming out from the Alcantara statue of this prayer hall. Please, please feel this while you are. Please feel this for yourself, and please discover the incredible truth that the source of this light is actually descended here in this world in the form of Master Ryuho Okawa. Don't miss this chance. Okay. In terms of tools that you can use to muster the courage and the strength and the feeling that you can make your way down to 79 Franklin Street, we have ritual prayers, prayer for defeating the infection of novel coronavirus originated in China. And we also have music that you can play, the exorcism, the thunder, music to repel the coronavirus. And one note about the music, in the same coronavirus book, Master Okawa says that Alcantara music comes from heaven. It contains heaven's vibrations within its melodies. Just by listening to it, your spirit body will connect to the vibrations of heaven. So a lot of us, we all have times when we feel down, we wake up, we are not really full of energy. What I do, ever since I heard Yushi say that this is what he does, I've been listening to the Alcantara music when I wake up. Because sometimes I just lay there just trying to kind of muster the energy to get out of bed. Or maybe, it just feels so nice. I really have to battle in my head. It's a new day. It's a day to do something. And the other voice will be like, but I want to just stay in bed a little longer. That's when I'll reach over to my iPhone and press play, and then I'll listen to the music. It's about 6 to 8 minutes. And then by the end of it, I'm like, wow, it's a new day. I'm ready to do something. I want to do something. And I roll out of bed. It feels great. So it feels great. Masako, I heard, does this. She listens to the music, and she listens to a recording of Master Okawa, true words spoken by Buddha before when she wakes up and before she gets out of bed. So that's where I got my idea from. But I started thinking about the necessity of it, of generating your own energy every day. Since Yushi, the minister here, talked about how he listens to a Master Okawa song called Banana, and in the shower, every morning, he says affirmations. He says, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy. As he's washing his hair, he tells himself that. And I was shocked when I heard that, because I always thought...
I'm already happy. I say I can.
You already are happy. You just say, I can.
Yeah.
You can do the greater things that needs to be done. That's fantastic. I always thought that he was just a naturally energetic person, and that I'm just naturally not that type. But after I learned what he's doing to keep his energy up, I had to tell myself, I can't make any excuses. I have to really generate the energy myself. And it is a joy to be able to do so. And it is a joy to be able to tell others that they can do the same as well. This is the sort of good that we all should be turning our thoughts to doing, instead of worrying about dying, fearing the coronavirus, and only thinking about ourselves. So lastly, I would like for us to practice a meditation. And the meditation is to be a religious person. Even though this is not really the explanation of or definition of a religious person, in the coronavirus, How to Survive the Coronavirus Recession book, Master Okawa says that there are those who are just immune from the coronavirus. And what sort of people are they? They are someone who is emitting an aura. They are hard to possess, whether it is the coronavirus or a lost spirit or evil spirit. Someone who is emitting an aura is hard to possess. An aura is emitted by those who have attained a certain level of enlightenment, of course, but those who are making efforts to attain enlightenment, or trying to give love, not do the opposite, which is taking love, people who are doing good for others and live with good thoughts in their mind, are also emitting like an in-house power generator. I pray that more people make the effort to make themselves stronger. In the Laws of Alpha, the Laws of Steel seminar, Alpha version that we took yesterday, my biggest takeaway was each of us is truly a part of the energy of heaven. That is why we can create good things in this world. And The Power of Basics, this is a really good book too. I highly recommend reading this at this time. He says that, yes, there is a power that eats away at us. The world is full of putrefying bacteria. Many things decompose every day. Houses break down, wood rots, and flowers wither and return to soil. We are living in a world governed by what is called the law of entropy, in which everything deteriorates, becomes reduced to simpler substances, and returns to its origins. And yet, our heart beats every day. And yet, a new life is born every day. We grow, we learn, we become stronger, we become wiser. The happiness we experience and gain, we can share with other people. There is also a power of creation at work. In Twice Born, Victory of Faith, Master Okawa also says this: countless natural disasters, wars, and the deaths of many are expected to occur. But I dare say that they are just plans. They are mere prospects. I am just saying that these events will happen if nothing changes. This is because light and darkness are relative to each other on earth. If light grows stronger, darkness draws back. So my conclusion for this seminar is for us to wake up to the fact that we are a part of heaven's light, Alcantara's light, and that means we are constantly creating. Yes, deterioration is constantly at work as well, but it's not evil at work. For there to be new life, there needs to be birth, aging, illness, and death, right? It is a truth of life, but it also makes way for greater creation. And we have the freedom, we have been given an incredible happiness, and that is the freedom of the soul. We can focus on destruction and deterioration and death and suffering, or we can focus on the creation. And to do that is our choice. So I want us to be reminded of our ability to, just by steering our mind, to focus on the energy, to focus on the self-generation of energy, because you are a part of God, part of this creative light, to try to add something good to this world, no matter what the circumstances is. And the greatest and the most urgent thing that is being asked of us right now is to remind people of this truth. In other words, here at Happy Science, we call it Buddha's truth. Buddha's truth encapsulates everything: the eternity of the soul, the existence of God, the presence of God, it's love, what is the coronavirus, how to combat it, what is a better society. Everything is contained within Buddha's truth. So to share this Buddha's truth is especially in this time and era when Master Ryuho Okawa is revealing this. Master Okawa being the savior, Master Okawa being the core consciousness of the creator, we would be going against the very promise we made when we came into this world if we do not step up and fulfill our mission of spreading Buddha's truth. So to do that, we do have to be strong and understand that science and medical science, even though they might appear almighty right now, has its limitations because it doesn't understand the eternity of the soul. It is hopeless in helping people who have passed away from the coronavirus and saving their souls. It's also important to understand that the government directives or what the media might say and is propagating right now might be based on wrong views, wrong thinking, again, because they are missing the truth, an important truth, that the soul does have eternal life, that this is God's world. So in order to kind of go up against that, we need strength as well. So in this meditation, let us really receive the light from Alcantara for us to be able to do that and generate the light with which to truly create the world that Alcantara wishes for us to create. So let us prepare for this meditation by reciting the true words spoken by Buddha together. And then afterwards, I will play the meditation. Please wait for Master Okawa's guidance. The meditation is about 20 minutes. The true words spoken by Buddha. There used to be the light in the great universe. The light is the energy of Buddha. People can live by this energy, and Buddha's energy has made human history. It will be supplied eternally. This eternal light comes from heaven and prevails on earth. This is the light of heaven. Through the prism of Buddha, there appeared the 7 colors of rainbow, arching over in the sky. Here you can see Buddha's mercy. Yellow is the color of teaching. White is the color of saving. Red is the color of justice. Purple is the color of obedience. Blue is the color of thinking. Green is the color of harmony. Silver is the color of progress. These 7 colors help each other, and there appears Buddha land. Buddha land is shining brightly because of gathering of bodhisattvas. This is the land of love or the land of mercy. This is the land of wisdom or the land of teaching. Especially, this is the land of souls, rest in peace. Real souls are the children of Buddha. The children of Buddha became real human beings. Real human beings have spirituality. The spirits are immortal powers. The spirits are immortal forces. The spirits are real entities. The physical bodies are the shadows of the spirits. It means you are the boat sailing down the great river. The great river is the symbol of the course of lives. Each of you sails down as a small boat, so you need a boatman. If it were not for your own boatman, you surely go aground. This boatman really means your mind. If your mind makes a mistake, the boat breaks into pieces by a large rock, and you also need a bamboo pole. This pole is the meaning of the true words. When you go down a rapid stream, you need to punt in a stream. Then you can change your course. The true words means the teaching of Buddha. Buddha enlightened and spoke the true words, and Buddha's teaching became a gold mine. This gold mine suggests various teachings. These are another expression of Buddha's truth. It brightens up your days. Or to put it another way, the fruits of Buddha's mercy. All of you, now, here, listen to me. Never lose your way, now and forever. The guiding hand has already waved. Please follow this white hand and go straightly on and on. Your lives are not limited to this world only. They have three aspects: the past, the present, the future. Your pasts have already gone by, yet still your mistakes will be kept in your minds. That is the reason why you should understand other people, and you yourself should reflect on what you have done. You and others are not different. On the contrary, both are children of Buddha, and brothers and sisters. Now then, love each other. Let us bring up each other. And it's time to forgive each other. This is the eternal law, which penetrates the present and the future. Yes, indeed, the light of the dark night. The dark night of this world is hell. It is also the same in another world. Since we came down to this world, the sun of the truth is scheduled to rise. Now we are watching rising sun. It will shed light to the future, to invite sad people to Buddha land. Now here I command, there shall not be conflict in this world. There shall not be distrust in this world. There shall not be crime in this world. There shall not be evil spirit in this world. There shall not be the devil in the next world. Only the ideal world, utopia, shall be realized. All of the people love each other, live harmoniously, believe in one another. That world is utopia. All of us could be the light of bodhisattvas. Believe in that the light has reality. Believe in that love has reality. Believe in that the truth has reality. These are the facts that should be conveyed. We, the light of bodhisattvas, get together, work together to keep right mind and live in tune with Buddha's words. Here we vow to do so. Please make yourselves comfortable. Straighten your back. Take in a deep breath. Let it all out. And please continue breathing in and out very deeply for a while. Please wait for Master Okawa's guidance. Once the guidance begins, please return your breathing to normal, but then open your heart to receive the light from Master Okawa's words. Feel the power and vibration, the heavenly vibration from his words. They come from the deepest reaches of heaven. They come directly from Alcantara, your creator.
I today want to say about how to be a religious person. It is not how to become a religious person. To be a religious person is very difficult nowadays. To be a religious person, you need more courage about that. Almost all of the people in this meaning miseducated, I think so. Science is just studying visible world and studying alive animals and people. It's just their target, and they don't deal about the spiritual being. They have no knowledge about the super beings beyond this world, so they have no wisdom within them. I think in some meaning it's a war between mental world and material world. War between God and devils. Devils or Satans are very good at using the rules and reasons of this materialistic world, and they are very persuasive about the incidents which happen in this world. For example, if we received great earthquake or tsunami, they don't think about the will of God or will of heaven and don't reflect upon themselves. All are just incidents. All are just occurred by chance. It's easy to think like that. But I always told you, all the incidents and all the phenomena which occur in this world is under the laws of cause and effect. We cannot escape from this law. If you think a good thing and if you do a good things, you will lead to a brighter future, and its brighter future means this world and another world. We who have a mission to spread this truth must fight against the evils who want to spread the evil thought that there are no invisible beings in the world. This world is not an open world. I mean, we are not shown the whole world. The real world is hidden, closed by veil, some kind of unseeable wall. There are another world, a great world. There is a diversity of the human existences. In Japan, there are a lot of gods. These kind of gods mean the great angels or angels, and not the supreme being only. Even the Christian society believe in Jesus Christ and the God of the heaven and Saint Mary and 7 great angels and a lot of spirits, higher spirits. Ancient Greece and ancient Rome, there are a lot of gods. Ancient Egyptian people believe in a lot of gods, so it's not so different. It is the way of description. There is only one God in the heaven, supreme being, but there also exist a lot of godlike great spirits, archangels, and higher spirits in the world. There exists the supreme being who is called El Cantare. El Cantare is the god of the earth. El Cantare want to save all the people in the world beyond their colors, beyond their nations, races, and beyond their worldly or earthly creeds. There exists El Cantare. Don't react by the bad influence or bad incidents only. Don't keep your mind toward bad things only. you should focus on your goodwill to the positive power, constructive power, and future-oriented power of God. Such kind of people who are thinking in mind regarding God's invisible light and invisible power, such people must be a religious person. Just think simply and receive the grace and mercy from the God, from the heaven into your bottom of your heart. Just receive this kind of light. At the time, you shall separate from the material-oriented person to the religious person. What is a religious person? Who is a religious person? What kind of people are the religious person? The answer is a person who believes in invisible mercy of God, and who believe in invisible teaching of God, and who believe in the existence of the Savior, who are living in this earth now.
Please end your meditation. Take a bow. Lord Alcantara, Master Ryuho Okawa, thank you very much for your guidance. And with that, this ends my Sunday service today. Hope that you will remember that we are created beings connected to Alcantara, the Creator, and therefore, by learning to steer our mind, we can always generate the energy to be positive, to be constructive. Never before than now is it needed, and the same energy will keep you protected from the coronavirus. You can also repel it from people who have it. If anybody is sick from it, please reach out to us. There are so many tools we can share with you. Together, let us truly restore the truth, the spiritual fundamental truth to this country and to the world. It is the way to open the way to the future. Today, at 3 o'clock, we will be showing Master Okawa's latest lecture on the U.S. presidential election that he gave on November 8th, this past Sunday, a week ago. So if any of you would like to watch it, it is a $20 donation for members and devotees who have joined in the last year, a $50 donation for everyone else. Please reach out to us, call us, or send us an email, and we will send you a private link. Thank you, and we will see you next week when Mariko leads the Sunday service on With Savior. Thank you.